Prevalence and incidence are closely linked, and therefore it's really important for us to understand the relationship between the two measures. When the incidence of a disease, meaning the number of new cases, increases, the prevalence of the disease also rises, assuming the duration of the disease remains constant. Prevalence is calculated as the product of incidence and the average duration of the disease. This relationship highlights how both the occurrence and persistence of a disease impact its overall burden in a population. Several factors contribute to an increase in disease prevalence. These include a rise in incidence, meaning more new cases are occurring within that population. Longer disease duration also increases prevalence as individuals remain affected for extended period of time. Additionally, in-migration of people moving into that population, where individuals with the condition move into the population, adds to the total number of cases. Lastly, the prolongation of life in patients without a cure due to advancements in medical care extends the time they are counted as prevalent cases, further increasing the prevalence rate. Several factors contribute to decrease in disease prevalence. These include a decline in incidence, meaning fewer new cases occur within the population. A shorter duration of the disease also reduces prevalence as individuals recover or are no longer counted as cases more quickly. Additionally, the in-migration of healthy individuals into the population decreases the proportion of affected individuals. Finally, an improved cure rate ensures more people recover from the disease, further lowering its prevalence. This visual representation summarizes the factors that influence prevalence in an upward or downward direction. The upward arrow highlights the factors that contribute to an increase in prevalence, while the downward arrow shows the factors that lead to a decrease in prevalence. To understand epidemiological measures related to morbidity and mortality. There are four measures of morbidity or illness and mortality, which is death. And these measures are crude rates, case fatality rates, proportional mortality ratio, and cause-specific rates. Let us discuss these in the next few slides. Let's first talk about rates. There are three types of rates that are really important in epidemiology, and they are the crude rates, specific rates, and adjusted rates. Crude rate represent the overall measure of an event, such as mortality or morbidity, in a population without accounting for demographic differences such as age or gender. And the formula for death rate or crude death rate is number of deaths in a given year divided by the reference population at the midpoint of the year, for example, middle of 2024, right, in the past year. That you take the average reference population at that point in time of a year and then multiply that by 100,000. That is going to give you your crude rate. Here is where I have shown you an example of a calculation of crude death rate. In this example, we are calculating the crude death rate for the United States in 2005. During that year, a total of 2,448,017 deaths were recorded. The population as of July 1, 2005 was 296,410,404. To calculate the crude death rate, we divide the number of deaths by the population at the midpoint of that year, which is 2005, and then multiply that by 100,000 to standardize the rate. This gives us a crude death rate of 825.9 deaths per 100,000 population. This metric provides a general overview of mortality within the population during 2005. The term reference population refers to the group of individuals from which cases of a disease or condition are drawn for analysis. It serves as the denominator in calculations of epidemiologic rates, such as the crude death rate. For example, when calculating the annual crude death rate in the United States, the entire U.S. population during that year serves as the reference population. What is case fatality rate, or CFR? CFR represents the proportion of individuals who die from a specific disease among all those afflicted with that disease. So what we are looking at is, for instance, how many people that have COVID-19 die from that disease. Both the numerator, number of deaths, and the denominator, number of cases, must refer to the same time period to ensure accuracy. We cannot be comparing months with years. This measure provides insight into the severity of a disease and its impact on those affected. To calculate the CFR for this example, we start with the number of cases, total number of cases, which is 45, right? How many people are affected by the disease is 45. And the number of fatalities or death is 22. So using the CFR formula from the previous slide, you should get 48.9% as the case fatality rate. How do you interpret this? The interpretation is that the case fatality rate of 4.9% indicates that nearly half of those infected with hantavirus in this example died from the disease, reflecting its high severity and lethality. This slide provides a comparison of case fatality rates for various diseases. Observing the circles representing CFR, Ebola appears to have the highest fatality rate among the diseases demonstrated here. Similarly, Lassa fever and Marburg also exhibit high fatality rates. On the other end of the spectrum, influenza has the lowest fatality rate of all the diseases that are presented on this slide. Now let's dive into proportional mortality ratio, or PMR, which is a measure used to understand the burden of specific causes of death within a population. It is calculated by dividing the number of deaths attributed to a specific disease or cause by the total number of deaths in that population. This ratio provides insights into how significant a particular cause is relative to overall mortality or death. In this example, we are calculating PMR for coronary heart disease in the United States in the year 2005. There were over 600,000 deaths due to coronary heart disease and a total of over 2 million deaths from all causes that year. You can use the formula given in the previous slide to calculate PMR. First, divide 652,091 by 2,448,017, which equals to approximately 0.266. Then you have to multiply that number by 100 to express it as a percentage. What is the interpretation of a PMR of 26.6%? In 2005, 26.6% of all deaths in the United States were caused by coronary heart disease. highlighting its significant contribution to overall mortality in the United States. Here we observe the proportional mortality ratios across different regions in the Americas. The proportional mortality burden of injuries, communicable diseases or infectious diseases, and non-communicable diseases or chronic diseases has shifted over time for poorer, middle income, and wealthier countries between 1980 and 2008. Notably, in wealthier countries, we're looking at this for now, the PMR for non-communicable diseases has increased from 76.6 to 84.2, highlighting the growing weight of non-communicable diseases in wealthier countries. Now let's talk about an age-specific rate denoted by R. It refers to the number of cases of a disease or health condition within a particular age group in a population during a specified time period. It helps to compare morbidity or mortality causes across different age groups, identifying which age groups are most affected. The numerator in this formula that you're seeing is the number of deaths or cases among a specific age group. The denominator is the total number of individuals in that age group. The result, or if you divide numerator by denominator, then you further go on and multiply that with 100,000 to standardize the rate. This calculation provides a clear picture of the disease or mortality burden within specific age groups and is crucial for designing targeted public health interventions. Here's an excellent example of an age-specific rate. The graph presented here is a line chart, with each line representing the rate for a specific age group. So these lines are associated with those that are over 75 years. These lines are associated with those between the ages of 65 and 74 years and so forth. From the trends displayed, we're looking at these trends here, right? From these trends, it is evident that the most vulnerable group for hospitalizations due to kidney disease is individuals aged 75 and older, followed by those aged 65 to 74, with other groups showing lower rate than these two groups at the top. Age-specific rates help identify priority populations, enabling targeted interventions for each of the groups, right? Whoever is at high risk. And also it allows us to allocate resources appropriately for the high-risk age groups. Here is how you calculate R, right? In the US, during 2024, there were over 1,000 deaths due to, or nearly 2,000, you can say, deaths due to malignant neoplasms in the 15 to 24 age group, with the population of over 42 million in the same age group. To calculate the age-specific neoplasm-related mortality rate, divide the number of deaths by the population size and multiply that by 100,000 to express the rate or standardize the rate basically. So it's very simple, right? Everything is formula based. So when you calculate the R using the right formula, your R or the rate age-specific rate for those between the ages of 15 to 24 should be 4.1 per 100,000. Similar to age-specific rate, you can take the same approach to calculate sex-specific rates using this formula. So here's an example of how you calculate sex-specific rate. In 2022, the number of deaths among males was over 1 million, with an estimated male population of over 145 million as of July 1 of 2022. So if you use the right formula, your SSR is supposed to be 827.2 per 100,000. Now let us understand why adjustments are needed when we are calculating specific measures. Adjusted rates refer to morbidity or mortality rates that have been statistically adjusted to allow fair comparisons across populations by accounting for differences in their demographic composition, such as age, race, gender, etc. One common factor used in rate adjustment is age. Age adjustment is particularly important because populations often have different age distributions, which can significantly influence rates of disease or death. As defined by the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, age adjusting rates is a way to make fairer comparisons between groups with different age distributions. This approach ensures that the observed differences in rates between populations are not simply due to differences in their age structures, providing a more accurate reflection of underlying health disparities. This line graph displays two distributions. One represents the crude rate and the other the age-adjusted rate. Crude rate here and adjusted rate here. And we are looking at years here in the x-axis, and on the y-axis we are looking at rate per 100,000 population, and we are comparing death rates. If decisions were based solely on the crude rate, it might appear that the death rate for a specific disease has remained relatively constant over time, suggesting little to no effect of your potential intervention. However, when considering the age-adjusted rate, a completely different picture emerges, showing that from 1960 to 2005, the death rate has significantly declined. This stark contrast highlights the importance of age adjustment in making fair and accurate comparisons, as it accounts for changes in age distribution over time and provides a clearer understanding of trends and intervention impacts. As a recent example, what you are seeing here is the age-adjusted rate for COVID-19 patients from October 2023 to April 2024. The data shows that American Indians and Alaskan Natives experienced the highest hospitalization rate compared to other groups. Here we are looking at cumulative rates, which represent the sequential sum of weekly hospitalizations divided by the population within the catchment area. These cumulative rates provide a comprehensive view of the total impact over time, adjusted for age differences within the population. So what did we learn today? We learned that epidemiological measures are fundamental tools in public health, and they are divided from concepts such as rates, proportions, and percentages. The key types of epidemiological measures include count, crude rate, case fatality rate, proportional mortality ratio, and specific rate and adjusted rate. These measures are invaluable for making descriptive statements about morbidity and mortality, enabling a better understanding of health patterns and guiding public health interventions. This slide concludes the lecture presentation for today.